progressive world government, it is necessary to remove from the minds of men their individualism, loyalty to family traditions, national patriotism, and religious dogmas.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
The mother-child bond, which is the foundation of freedom in society. The mother-child bond was very strong in the post-war period. From that strength, from the strength of that bond, came the radicalization of the 60s. And so if you're in charge, right, and you get that the stronger the mother-child bond, the greater the chance of rebellion from adults, then what you need to do is you need to break the mother-child bond.
What do you think women's liberation was about? Let me tell you what that was about. We, the Rockefellers, funded that. We funded women's lib, you know? And we're the ones who got all over the newspapers and television, the Rockefeller Foundation. He says, and you want to know why? He says, there were two primary reasons. And they were, one reason was we couldn't tax half the population before women's lib. And the second reason was, now we get the kids in school at an early age. We can indoctrinate the kids how to think. It breaks up the family. The kids start looking at the state as the family, as the school, as the officials, as their family, not as the parents teaching them. And so those are the two primary reasons for women's lib, which I thought up to that point was a noble thing. You know, when I saw their intentions behind it, where they were coming from when they created it, the thought of it, I saw the evil behind what I thought was a noble venture.
So how do you separate the mothers from the children so that the children grow up more susceptible to political authority? Well, it's very cunning. What you do is you fund radical feminism. And radical feminists then go out and say that you are chattel at home, that serving your children and helping your husband is some sort of bondage or semi-enslavement. But to be really free, to be genuinely, gloriously free, you have to go out and become a wage slave. Because you see, obeying a boss is freedom, but helping out your family is slavery.
Recently, there was a bit of a fiasco at the University of Toronto when a group of radical feminists pulled a fire alarm in order to stop a men's rights seminar in progress at the university. You can see a large group of protesters yelling in the hallway just outside the MRA group's meeting, while campus security muddles around like a lost child, powerless to get them to stop disrupting. The fire alarm then goes off and the feminists cheer like banshees, ecstatic that they've used bully tactics to silence the opposing point of view.
This is a list of the things that we're working toward. Now, if you would shut the fuck up for the 50th millionth time, these are things that we're agreeing on. Feminists do not want you to have to make alimony payments. Alimony is set up to combat the fact that women have been historically expected to prioritize domestic duties over professional goals, thus minimizing their earning potential as their traditional marriages end. The assumption that wives should make babies instead of money is part of patriarchy. The assumption that women are naturally better caregivers is part of patriarchy.
Feminism was, to a large degree, funded either directly by the state or indirectly through the state protection of feminist academics. This is particularly heinous when the, quote, solution for social problems is placed in the hands of the state. I think that recognizing that the state has an incentive to take the kids out of the orbit of the parents. I mean, as I said, it gives them more tax money, but also, of course, it gives the states the opportunity to propagandize the kids when they're very young, right? The kids want to get their hands on the young earlier and earlier because, you know, kids who have a great and strong maternal bond tend to be pretty skeptical of abusive authority, i.e. the state or other forms of authority. The best way to fight the power of the state, to fight the power of unjust religiosity, to fight the power of any brutal hierarchy is to stay home and love the living heck out of your kids. That is how we become free.